A few days ago, Donald Trump did a very interesting press conference, and he listed a whole laundry list of different things that the government is wasting money on. Let's get into it. Welcome to Global Reference News Inside of America, Joe Cope reporting. Donald Trump had an interesting press conference at the Future Investors Initiative Institute. He listed a whole bunch of different things that the government is wasting money on. Very egregious. Let's take a look at that clip and then we'll examine it.
And here are just a few examples of where your money was going before I came along. These are just some of the, just taken at random. Oh, there are much worse examples than this. I was just looking at them before the speech, and I can tell you they were much worse. And there are some that are horrible, but I don't want to really say them because they're very embarrassing to people, very embarrassing. And they're really something, but you'll be seeing it and you will be reading about it. But just some taken at random, $2 million for sex change operations in Guatemala, $20 million for Sesame Street performances in Iraq. $20 million, that's a lot of money. You know, I know what it costs to do those things. You get a cast over for $50,000, give them a couple of bucks tip, and that's it, not 20 million. 20 million, that's Gone with the Wind on steroids. $101 million for 29 diversity, equity, and inclusion contracts at the Department of Education. Wow. And we've canceled all of these, saved all of this money. And again, this is just a small sample. This could go on. I could read them all day. $520 million for a consultant. I want to know, who is that consultant? To do ESG, that's environmental, social, and governance investments in Africa. $25 million to promote biodiversity, conservation, and illicit livelihoods by developing socially responsible behavior in Colombia. $40 million to improve the social and economic inclusion of sedentary migrants. Nobody knows what that even means. None of this stuff, everyone's trying to figure out, what the hell does it all mean? $42 million for social and behavior changes in Uganda. 40 million's a lot of newspaper ads in Uganda. $70 million for research of evidence-based solutions for development challenges. $10 million for Mozambique medical male circumcision. What does that mean? $2.3 million for strengthening independent voices in Cambodia. $14 million for improving public procurement in Serbia. $486 million to the Consortium for Elections and Political Process Strengthening, including $22 million for inclusive, participatory political process in Moldova, and $21 million for voter turnout in India. What do we need to spend $21 million for voter turnout in India? Wow, $21 million. I guess they were trying to get somebody else elected. Well, we ought to tell the Indian government, because when we hear that Russia spent about $2 in our country, it was a big deal, right? They took some internet ads for $2,000. This is a total breakthrough. $21 million for India elections. $29 million to strengthen the political landscape in Bangladesh. $20 million for fiscal federalism, and $19 million in addition to the $21 million for biodiversity conversion in Nepal. $1.5 million for voter confidence in Liberia. We need voter confidence too when you read this list. $14 million for social cohesion in Mali. $2.5 million for inclusive democracies in South Africa. $47 million for improving learning outcomes in Asia. Asia's doing very well. We don't need to give them money. And in another program, $50 million plus another $50 million for condoms for Hamas. Do you know about that? $100 million for condoms. Condoms. Does everybody know what a condom is? For Hamas, $100 million. And these are just some. I could read this list all day long.
As you can see, the United States government, when you think about it, just spends a whole lot of money. Just recently, they just fired thousands of different government employees, as well as IRS tax enforcers. They've lost their job, probably about over 7,000. Now, when you go a few months back, when you think about the Trump assassination attempt, you almost got to wonder, is this the reason why they were trying to kill him? Because you see just how much the government is wasting money on. 6 changes in Guatemala, Indian election, turnout, funding, Asian studies funding, Sesame Street performances overseas. And it goes by the millions into even the billions. And it's all crazy to think about it. And when you see what Trump is doing with DOGE, is very much necessary because we're seeing why this nation was in debt, and we're seeing a pathway how we can get out of debt. We can take all this money that we're throwing away overseas in worthless wars, worthless causes, DEI, put it back into the people. Just recently, Trump and Elon Musk said that they would be interested in giving each American citizen $5,000 apiece. I think we have a clip about that, and we can take a look at that as well.
Also, we've heard a lot of talk about possibly you getting a check. If you're a taxpayer and they're saving all of this money, if they're saving $1 trillion annually, there's been talk that maybe you would get 20%, or Americans would get 20% of the savings, and then 20% would go to cut down on our debt.
So you're going to have to do some convincing of Brian Kilmeade because he disagrees.
He wants it all to pay down the debt.
He wants to pay down the debt. I think people want tangibles, and they want to see the money in their pocket immediately because we feel left behind. A lot of folks have endured with COVID and all that. And so I think it would help the economy if people saw that money.
I like it too. A lot of people aren't watching the news. A lot of people don't even know that this is the conversation, that he's saving money. Most people are aware, but not everybody. But if you get a check in the mail and it's $5,000, that helps your family.
Yeah, here's President Trump on possibly getting this dividend check out.
Elon Musk is proposing essentially giving money to Americans based on what DOGE is finding. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I love it. A 20% dividend, so to speak, for the money that we're saving by going after the waste and fraud and abuse and all of the other things that are happening. I think it's a great idea.
How much money do you think could
Could be a lot. I mean, if it's 20%, would give back a lot of money to the taxpayer. And also would give an incentive for the taxpayer to go out and report things to us where we could save money.
It's a good point, too.
It's a good point.
In real time, just like taxes on tips, he's sitting in front of that Las Vegas audience and said, you guys live off tips. That is good instincts. I like the idea of going back into the economy. So if you give Mr. and Mrs. Johnson $5,000, they can go get that lawnmower or the thing, or maybe do something on their house.
Yeah.
That helps the economy. But I just also think the whole mindset of tightening your belt, getting those minimum payments paid.
You have to ask yourself, $5,000 a piece, is that good or is that enough? It may not be enough, but it's a start. Now, if you're a Black American, you may also be asking yourself, well, if, DOGE has found all this money, then surely there's money for reparations. Surely, there's enough money by the billions to compensate all the descendants of slaves whose ancestors went unpaid in the building and the foundation of this country. That's a different topic for another day. But back on the topic as is, yes, DOGE is in effect. They're uncovering millions and billions of dollars, even trillions. And a lot of Democrats seem to be upset about it. A lot of establishment politicians are upset about it. And you also got to ask yourself, maybe this is the reason why they tried to kill him in the first place. www.globalreferencenews.com, where we have more interesting stories, not only in America, but we have stories from around the world. Check us out and see you in the next video.